Have you ever noticed how they do something small and mean, then immediately look at your face? They aren't just being moody or having a bad day. They are performing a test. They want to see what you'll put up with. This is the stage where they stop just studying your past and start poking at your present. They're looking for specific signs that tell them exactly how much of your peace they can steal before you say anything. In the beginning, it's subtle. It's a joke that isn't actually funny. It's a comment about your clothes or a friend you love, delivered with a smile. They are watching your reaction. If you laugh it off or stay quiet to keep the peace, they check a box in their head. They just learned that you'll prioritize their comfort over your own feelings. They saw that you're willing to swallow a little bit of disrespect just to avoid a fight. They're also watching to see how fast you forgive them. If they blow you off and you're the one who calls 10 times to fix it, they see that as a sign. To them, your effort isn't a sign of love, it's a sign that you're afraid of losing them. They realize they can pull away whenever they want, and you'll be the one running to bridge the gap. They aren't looking for a partner, they are looking for someone who is easy to manage. This is why you feel so drained. You think you're just being understanding, but they see it as you giving them a green light. Every time you make an excuse for their bad behavior, you're giving them the data they need to push even further next time. They are watching for the moment you stop standing up for yourself. Once they see that sign, the real games begin. So, are you telling, the first time you finally said no, you felt like you were the one doing something wrong? Let's slow this down for a moment. When you finally gathered the nerve to say, "I don't like it when you talk to me that way," they didn't just hear your words. They were looking right through you. They were measuring the shake in your voice. They were watching to see if your boundary was a solid wall or just a curtain they could pull aside whenever they felt like it. See, when you set that first real boundary, they weren't listening to understand you. They were performing a stress test. They wanted to see if you'd immediately start apologizing for even having a feeling. Are you saying you felt the need to follow up your no with 1,000 reasons why? Like, "I'm just tired," or "I've had a bad day, so please don't." Look, if you offered those excuses, they realized something very specific. They saw that you're uncomfortable with conflict and that you'll do the heavy lifting of soothing them even when they were the one who crossed the line. It's a power game, plain and simple. They were looking for what I call the leak. That's when you set a rule but don't actually keep it. Maybe you told them you weren't going to put up with being ignored for days, but then they did it anyway, and you were the one who sent the "Are we okay?" text. You thought you were being the bigger person or being supportive. But through their eyes, well, they saw a successful breach. They realized your no actually meant, maybe, if I wait you out long enough. They were watching for that exact sign of hesitation, the moment your actions stopped matching your words. Alright, look, this is where it gets cold. Because once they see that your boundaries are negotiable, they start moving the goalposts. They'll do something just a little bit worse than the time before, just to see if the new you will take it. They aren't trying to avoid your breaking point, they're trying to find it so they know exactly how much room they have to play in. They want to know if you're the kind of person who will keep communicating and explaining forever while they keep disrespecting you. To them, someone who keeps talking about their hurt but never actually leaves is someone who has already surrendered. Are you telling, you started to doubt your own memory when they told you that you were remembering it wrong? That's the ultimate sign they look for. They want to see if they can trade your truth for their version of reality. If you apologized for misunderstanding them after they clearly hurt you, they knew they had the remote control. Every time you backed down, you sent a signal that their comfort mattered more than your soul. And once they see that sign, the partnership is over, and the management begins. So, are you telling, you started changing your own behavior just to keep them from reacting? Let's slow this down for a moment, because this is where it gets really quiet and really dangerous. You started to realize that every time you were yourself, vibrant, loud, or even just honest, they were watching you with that cold, judging look. So, what did you do? Well, you adjusted. You started editing yourself in real time. You began to look for the signs in them so you could avoid the conflict. You stopped wearing the things they made fun of. You stopped mentioning the friends they didn't like. Alright, look, you weren't just being considerate. You were shrinking. And they were watching that happen. They were looking for the sign that you had finally traded your personality for their approval. Are you saying, you felt like you had to walk on eggshells just to have a peaceful Tuesday night? That's exactly what they wanted to see. They wanted to see if they could train you to manage their emotions so they didn't have to. Every time you stayed silent instead of laughing, or stayed home instead of going out, they knew they were winning. They weren't looking for a partner to grow with, they were looking for a version of you that they could predict and control. And the more you adjusted, the more they knew they had you. So, are you telling, after a while, you stopped even trying to bring up how you felt? Let's slow this down for a moment, because this is where the signs they were watching for become the actual walls of your cage. At this point, you aren't just living your life anymore, you're performing. And they're sitting in the front row, grading you on how well you follow the script they wrote. Are you saying, you started checking your phone with a pit in your stomach, wondering what version of them you were going to get today? Well, that's not an accident. That's the pattern. They've spent so much time studying your reactions that they now know exactly which silence will make you snap, and exactly which accidental comment will make you work twice as hard to please them. Look, it's a feedback loop. They give you a little bit of coldness, they watch you scramble to fix it, and then they note down that they can do it again whenever they want to feel powerful. Alright, look, let's be honest about what's happening here. They aren't bad at communicating. They are actually experts at it, they just use it to keep you off balance. Are you telling, you felt like you had to ask permission for things you used to do without a second thought? Like seeing your family or staying late at work to finish a project? That's the sign they were waiting for. They wanted to see the moment you started prioritizing their mood over your own reality. They wanted to see the moment you became a full-time manager of their emotions instead of a partner in a relationship. It gets heavy, doesn't it? Knowing that every time you tried to be mature and understanding, you were actually just giving them more data on how to keep you stuck. They know you're a fixer. They know you're a healer. So, they keep breaking things, small things, big things, your confidence, just to watch you try to put them back together. They are watching for the sign that you've finally lost sight of who you were before you met them. They want to see if they can make you forget your own worth until you're entirely dependent on their validation. So you're telling, you feel like a shell of yourself? Like you're playing a character you don't even like. That is the ultimate goal of the pattern. They wanted to see if they could replace your intuition with their instructions. And every time you look at them for the sign of whether it's okay to be happy today, they know they've won. They've turned your empathy into a leash, and they're holding it tight. But the thing about a leash is, once you realize you're the one wearing it, you're the only one who can take it off. It's time to stop looking for a reason why they did this. The reason is simple: they wanted a map of your heart so they could own the territory. But here is the secret they didn't want you to find out while they were busy studying you: the same things they use to control you are the same things that prove how incredible you are. They looked for your kindness because they don't have any. They looked for your loyalty because they knew they couldn't earn it. They looked for your strength because they needed to know how much weight you could carry for them. You aren't a broken person who got tricked. You are a high-value person who was researched. But now that you see the clipboard in their hand, the game is over. You don't have to keep playing the part they wrote for you. You don't have to be the forgiving one or the patient one anymore. You can take your notes back. You can take your secrets, your dreams, and your heart back and lock the door. They said, "You'll never find anyone who knows you like I do." That's a lie. They don't know you, they just know which buttons to press. They know what makes you flinch. But they don't know the version of you that is about to walk away. They didn't plan for you to have the courage to leave. The file is closed. It's time to go back to being the person they were so afraid of, the one who is free. If you decide to.